Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Culture Blender. Me and Rucha are hosts for this show, where we talk to guests about the worlds they have visited. Join us as we explore the beautiful blend of traditions, languages, and lifestyles that make our world so beautifully unique. In each episode, we bring you stories, experiences, and insights from people who have lived, worked, or studied out of their homeland. In this episode, I'm going to talk to Sumedha from Pune. She is a translator, voiceover artist, and teacher, and works in the languages French and English. Welcome to the show, Sumedha.
Thank you very much.
I'm eager to talk to you and find out about the world that you have visited.
Yeah, me too.
So,
I'm eager to tell you so many things about Nigeria.
that's great. Thank you. So, Sumedha, before we start, please tell us where are you from and what do you do?
Actually, I am born and brought up in Mumbai. I was in Ville Parle,
Mhm.
and it is a culturally rich suburb of Mumbai. So I am
Yeah.
privileged to be there, from there.
Mhm.
And for last 20 years or so, I am living here in Pune. I have basically done my post graduation in HR, MBA HR. But later on, I started learning French, and just to be in touch with French, I started teaching and then entered into the field of translation. Voiceover, of course, I was doing earlier also. So all those activities I keep doing. So now all here in Pune.
Okay, that is great. In which countries have you lived? Can you tell us?
I lived in Nigeria, Lagos. Lagos is the
Mhm.
commercial capital of Nigeria. Actually, I
Mhm.
lived for a few months in Sharjah also, but that was very like a short period. So I would like to talk about Nigeria because I lived there for 10 years. And
Oh, okay.
I was there from 1995 to 2000, and then later 2006 to 2011 or so. So 10 years there. Of course,
Mhm.
those two periods, the experiences were quite different because before 2000, it was very difficult living there. And after 2000, when I went there again in 2006, the life was easier, much better there.
Mhm.
But I would like to talk about the life that I have experienced before 2000 more.
Sure.
That
Yes.
is something to talk about.
It's so good that you have visited the same place twice and
Yeah,
in different situations. That's wonderful.
yes, yes.
So what was your initial impression about this place?
Initial impression in the sense Lagos or Nigeria, I was quite acquainted with these names because
Mhm.
my Atya, my father's sister, she used to live there. So that was like 50 years back. So her husband was working there in Lagos in textile mills. So textile was in boom that time, in that during that period. And he was working there, so of course he used to get good money. And when they used to come here to India, like they used to talk about a good life style there. So there they used to get all imported things. They used to talk fluent English, my cousins. And then they used to bring us some gifts or dresses which were imported and all. So that kind of that influence was there in my mind, that okay, Nigeria or Lagos living is not that bad. It should be good if they are living there, and I can also live there. So when I got the proposal from a boy working in Nigeria in Lagos, my husband is originally from Dadar Shivaji Park, but then he was working in Lagos that time. So when I got that proposal, I happily said yes. There were two reasons for that, because
Mhm.
actually I liked the boy also. That was the main reason. And then ready to explore also because I knew that place from my Atya. So, and there, of course, I had that impression that, okay, Nigeria is an underdeveloped country and all, that is okay. And that is the reason perhaps my husband would not stay in Lagos for a lifetime. So he would be coming back and settling down here in India, and that was a plus point for me. And but the other worry was like whether I would be able to work there, because I was going there as on dependent visa, and I was not allowed to work there as such. So I had to leave my job, which was in where I was working as HR executive earlier, and then that job I had to leave. And I didn't know. I mean, the future was dark that time, but still, I was ready to explore that country.
I think the adventure began here itself, right?
Yes, yes, truly. But
Great.
my man
Uh,
was there with me, so I was happy to
of
be on
course,
that
yes.
adventure ride.
Right. So while staying there, did you adapt to any customs or small things, you see around you? How was that experience?
Yeah, okay. So when we go to any underdeveloped country, we
Mm.
feel that what we can gain from them, what different things we can get from there. But actually, it was not like that. We had Indian Cultural Association there. We had different mandals. We had Lagos Maharashtra Mandal there, or
Oh, okay.
Kannada Samaj, or Punjabi Samaj, all different regions. They had mandas there. We used to celebrate the festivals, all festivals together. So it's not that we only celebrated Ganpati and Diwali and also many
Mhm.
festivals we celebrated. We joined their celebrations also. So it was
Mhm.
fun. We all used to come together. So when you are away from homeland, normally
Mhm.
what happens that all the Indians, they come together and that becomes a community, well knit community. So
Mhm.
we were all happily celebrating things. Even Diwali also, we used to get good singers and musicians to hear there, because they were invited for the program. And then that opportunity, even I don't get here many times, or the tickets are not affordable perhaps here, but there we could get to hear all those people, big musicians, big singers there. So that was the one thing. And then another thing was, for example, the Ganpati celebration also. Ganpati puja was performed regularly in the Indian temple. There was Indian temple there. So the puja was performed by a Nigerian. So no
Oh, okay.
Indian actually performed the puja every day. It was a Nigerian person. It was Nigerian
Mhm.
pujari who used to perform the puja, because he was follower of Krishna, ISKCON. So
Oh, okay.
he used to perform the puja. His name was also Govinda, given name, of course. And
Okay.
then the idol also was made by a Nigerian sculptor. We used to show him the photo, like give him the idea. I was quite active in Maharashtra Mandal. He used to prepare it. We used to celebrate with the help
Mhm.
of Nigerians who used to decorate the mandap and all. So here we give a lot of importance to caste and creed and all, but there I could feel that we should not, we didn't give so much of importance to caste or region or whatever.
So, did your experience of living away from your homeland shape your understanding of your own culture?
Yeah, as I said, we did not celebrate here many things, many festivals, which we could
Mhm.
celebrate there, and we could understand the culture of other regions also of India.
Mhm.
So that was another thing. And then everything was done in detail. So we used to have Hardi Kunku, Sankranti, Hardi Kunku at various places. Then people used to call us for lunch and all for the big festivals like Ganpati and Holi or whatever. So I did not really miss the culture, or I did not really feel that I am away from India. And that is why I am missing some cultural aspect or celebrations in Nigeria.
That's such a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, being in a new country with new people, what challenges did you face while staying there, or and how did you handle them?
Uh, right from the day I entered Nigeria, Lagos airport, I experienced that there was a power cut, and all the things were done in dark. And from there, it was so hot. And then from there, I started to get the impression that, okay, I am going to face this kind of situation. And it was really true, because power cuts were very common. It was for long time of the day. It was for days also, months also, many times. But of course, we had small generators also there for the electricity generation, and we used to use that. But we cannot run the generator for the entire day, days and nights and all. So we had to actually reserve it for night, or we could not consume so much of diesels. There were so many times there were diesel shortage also. Though Nigeria is a petrol producing country, we used to face diesel shortages. So there we had to adapt because in Mumbai I never experienced. I went from Mumbai there, so in Mumbai I never experienced power cuts like that. So there it was very difficult. There used to be scarcity of the Indian food items. So we did not get, for example, gram flour. Gram flour we did not. Now, if gram flour is not there, what to do? There are so many food items get cancelled from the list of your menu. So, but then we started, finding the alternatives. For example, if we had to make medu vada, if udid dal is not available, we used to buy the black-eyed beans, which were available there amply. And with those beans, we cooked medu vada or dal vada or something. So we started finding the alternatives, and we started to, do the things without those ingredients also. So that was another challenge that I faced. And whenever we used to get the news that, okay, gram flour is imported from India, so we used to really rush to those Indian supermarkets and, stock them for next 2-3 months, because you never know when it will be available again. Then a major problem there was security. So there used to be a lot of armed robberies, and, we were scared of that. So इथे जे आपण म्हणतो ना, सातच्या आत घरात, ही जी कन्सेप्ट आहे ती आम्ही तिकडे ऍक्च्युअली यूज करत होतो की whenever we used to go to our friend's house or wherever to the temple or whatever, we used to be back before 7. So, or if we wanted to extend our stay there, then we would live at that friend's place. We would stay there and then come back next day morning. So that we had to be very careful. I did not carry a single piece of gold there at all, because Nigerian people, they are poor, of course. So there is a vast difference in lower. I mean, there is no middle class there as such. So there are people very poor, and there are people, they are very, very rich. They go to London often, weekly visits to London for treating maybe some infection also. So that kind of difference is there. So naturally, because they are poor, they tend to rob people. They tend to do the thefts and all. So we never carried this gold chain or earrings or nothing, everything artificial. But they knew that Indian women are very fond of gold, and if not other things, they will at least carry Mangalsutra, सोन्याचं मंगळसूत्र. So they knew that much. हातात ring. Okay, तेवढं असणारच त्यांच्याकडे. So they knew that much, and they used to come and rob with the arms. So that was a little a matter of worry for us. But then because I did not carry any gold ornaments, because we used to follow the timings and come back home, because we used to talk to Nigerian people who were around us, who could possibly inform the robbers about our daily routine or what we have at home or something. We were good to them. Those were housemaids or security or drivers, or those who were close to us. So we were very good to them, and luckily we found good people also there. And that was, I mean, that fear was always there in our mind. So at night also we had to be alert, sleep alertly, not, yeah. So that was another challenge. Then because of the security reasons, we could not walk on the streets of Lagos. Because otherwise the people around would know that, okay, this Indian lives in this house. Or even during daytime also, we used to close the curtains and then stay at home, because the area boys there should not know that, okay, they should not be able to identify that, okay, this house is where Indian people live. So we had to have a very low profile, and talk to people very nicely, gently, and keep them happy, not take extreme actions against them if they are not following the rules, or they are doing something wrong. So those were the things we had to take care of. As I told you, we could not walk. There was no public transport there. We had wherever we had to go, we had to go in car. But the company provided only one car, and that was taken by my husband. So everybody's husband. So we ladies, we did not have any car for ourselves.
Mhm.
So like we used to, decide on one particular day that okay, I will tell my husband to leave the car at home, and four, five friends, we all will go in that car, share the car, and go to the supermarket or go to the local market there. So whenever we wanted to go to the supermarket, we had to plan it out, and then we had to tell one of the gents that you leave the car for us, and then we all will go in the same car. We used to share the car, go to the supermarket, go to the local market, go to somebody else's house also. So we used to plan like that and then go, because we needed a car. There was no public transport or facility available. Even though the friends stays in next lane also, we couldn't go there walking. One more challenge, which was very major for me, for us rather, and that was there were telephones. We were used to landline telephones by that time. So before 2000 or so, in India we had landline phones, though not mobile phones. But then there in our houses, we used to have a landline telephone, but it never worked. So what we had to do is once in a month, we used to have a phone call with my parents. And that was, we had to go to the Nigeria telephone office, which was quite far away, and then make a phone call for 3 minutes. Because that was very expensive also. And then in those 3 minutes, we had echo also, so many times echo. So I had to repeat the same things again. Then my mother used to, काय म्हणालीस, काय म्हणालीस, that all used to happen. That kind of conversation used to happen. And the actual matter that I wanted to convey was, I could speak only for 1.5 minutes, maybe. And then I mean, I took the way out saying that I used to write the points that I wanted to tell him, because I had so many experiences. I wanted to narrate all the experiences to my parents. So I used to, have the points written on a piece of paper. And then I used to tell them that, okay, आता माझं ऐका आधी पहिल्यांदा, मी ओव्हर म्हटलं की मग तुम्ही बोला. So I used to narrate the whole way as if I'm giving a speech, and then I used to tell them that आता okay, आता तुमचं सांगा मला कसे आहात ते.
Oh, you found out a way.
Yeah, I
Oh,
found out a way
yes.
that way.
Fantastic. So,
Yeah.
just a curious question. Did you write letters back then?
So many. And that was my favorite hobby also. That was the way to, kill my time also there, because I was not working. I had all 24 hours at my disposal. So I used to write a lot. I like writing also in detail. Perhaps I should try writing the books also, maybe in future sometime, but I like to write a lot. So 10 pages, 12 pages, 15 pages letters I used to write, and there was no postal system existing, practically not existing there. So we used to give the letters to somebody who was coming to India for the vacations or something. So it was kind of hand delivery, and my parents used to go to that person and collect the letter and all. And when he was going to come back, they would give the reply letter to him. He will bring it to us. And some other things also we used to ask our friends to get from India. Like, अरे मला कुकरची शिट्टी मिळत नाहीये इकडे, कुकरची शिट्टी घेऊन ये, gasket घेऊन ये. All those kinds of things, because कुकर मी आणला होता, but there were all these things were not available there. So अशा काही गोष्टी असतील तर त्या पण त्यांच्याकडून मागवायचो आम्ही, की तू घेऊन ये बाबा, because they were not available.
Wow, this is very interesting. This is very challenging. And I mean, the world back then was so different without mobile phones,
Yes,
isn't
yes,
it?
very different. Later on, after 2000, this telecom industry also was developing in Nigeria. And then when I again went back for a second time in 2006, we had mobile phones. Though that time I did not use smartphones, I guess, but then mobile phones were there. Those Nokia phones and all,
Okay.
those were there that time. So we could manage. But
Okay.
otherwise, when the phones were not there, even if I had to, give the message to my friend in the living in the same locality, I used to write a letter to her, a note to her also, and I used to send it through my driver to that friend. So it was like this kind of communication. Petrol was cheap also. Petrol, when I went there in 1995, petrol was cheaper than a bottle of water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the
That's cheap.
petrol was very cheap. So we could use petrol very liberally.
That is nice to know.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So, talking about communication, we talked about this telephonic communication and written communication also you did. So, what was the language that you communicated with the Nigerian people?
Okay. The languages there are, I mean, they are associated with certain regions in Nigeria. So
Okay.
in
Mhm.
southern part of Nigeria, they speak Yoruba. Then in northern part, they speak Igbo. Then in the eastern
Mhm.
side, they speak Calabar. So there are two, three languages that they speak. And those languages, they don't have the script. So they can't write in those languages. They used to communicate
Okay.
with themselves. We could, hear a few words, Yoruba words, because Lagos is in southern part of Nigeria. So their
Mhm.
majority of the people spoke Yoruba. And we could understand a few words that they spoke, but not really, because Nigerians also, within themselves also, they used to speak pidgin English. So what was pidgin English? I did not know till I went there to Nigeria. Okay, because pidgin English is like broken English, so it is not grammatically correct English. So they speak
Okay.
that pidgin English. We used to say
Mhm.
pidgin English initially. Many people still say pidgin English, but it was actually pidgin English. And that broken English we could speak. So, where you they go now? What do you have now? Do this thing now. Okay, all those things,
Oh.
that they used to speak like this, and then we also adopted
Mhm.
their tone, their way of speaking, and
Okay.
we could, communicate. Because earlier,
Okay.
when I went initially, I also was not
Mhm.
able to understand their accent, their English.
Mhm.
So it was really a problem, and my husband used to be the interpreter that time, because he was staying there earlier also, so he knew how to communicate with them. So he interpreted.
Okay.
I even
Mhm.
used to get confused between the faces also. म्हणजे कधी कधी इकडे सुद्धा आपल्याला सगळे सरदारजी असतील तर त्यांचे सगळे
Oh.
सारखेच वाटतात, कधी कधी सरदारजी असतील तर. तर तसं
Right.
मला तिकडे झालं होतं. आय यूज टू फाइंड दोज फेसेस सेम ओनली.
Mhm.
अरे ह्याच माणसाला मी काल भेटले होते वाटतं, आता तो हा परत कशाला आलाय, असं माझं बऱ्याच वेळेला होत होतं इनिशियली, बट लेटर ऑन आय कुड आयडेंटिफाय.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
about the language, I also started grasping that pidgin English. So that was the language of communication with anybody.
Mhm.
But because most of them, they were not quite educated, so they used to speak this language. That is one thing. But those people who were really educated, gone to the university, graduated and all, very few, of course, but then they used to speak polished English. So which that
Mhm.
type of English, even I don't speak in my life, because I have done all my education schooling in Marathi medium. So that kind of
Mhm.
British kind of English, even I can't speak even now for that matter. But then there some people, they used to speak because they studied in London, or they studied in some other place in London.
Mhm.
They were those educated people really spoke English very well.
Very well. Okay. Okay, that's nice. So you had two versions of English.
Yes, yes. Actually,
Okay.
that is the
I
time
heard,
in Nigeria I started learning French. So that was my third
is
language
it?
there.
Oh, third language,
Yeah.
right?
So in Nigeria, because I had time,
Mhm.
one thing, and
Mhm.
another thing is that I actually wanted to learn a foreign language, because
Mhm.
before 2000, when I was in college or school, that time I had that feeling in mind that I have to learn one foreign language at least, and that was not
Mhm.
quite popular, learning a foreign language before 2000, if you see. So, but then I had
Yes.
it in mind, and since I had time to my disposal and I was not working, I couldn't work there. And I started going to Alliance Francaise there. I had a choice between Goethe Institute, Max Muller, Goethe Institute there, I think. and this Alliance Francaise. But then I chose going to Alliance Francaise because French is spoken in so many other different African countries also, in many other countries also. So I started going to Alliance Francaise and started learning my French there.
Can you tell us about the natural beauty over there?
Natural beauty, yes. We had lot of good beaches there where we could go because there was hardly any place to go for entertainment as such in Lagos. So the entertainment on the weekends was only going to different beaches, and going there for the entire day and then go to the beach. So that was very popular, and the beaches are really beautiful there. And near the beaches, they normally had the markets where they sold the Nigerian art. So the wooden mask, if you see, or the wooden uh, uh, vessels, or the paintings. Nigerian painters also, they paint very beautifully. Or the cloth we used to get, the clothes, those batik clothes we used to get there. So that was another attraction, that we could do the shopping also there. So that was natural beauty. If you say, it was the beaches. I love the beaches. We all
Acha.
love beaches.
Okay.
And then there was one nature conservation center where we used to go. There,
Okay.
there was a lot of biodiversity and we could experience. So that was another place we could go to.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
other than Lagos, we uh, visited which was quite close by, like 2 hours probably by car. And then there was another kind of hill station, you can say. It was in the north, that was Jos. So we could go there. And but other towns or other places we could not go because of the security reasons, of course.
Okay. So did you try any local cuisines over there?
I could try a little bit, but actually I am a vegetarian.
Okay.
And they hardly eat vegetarian, Nigerian people. So whatever they eat is like, I tried jollof rice, which they make with lots of red pepper. Then red pepper, tomato, and they make a sauce of that, and then they cook rice in that. So that jollof rice, but then, apart from the akara was there. So as I told you, it was kind of medu vada. So that I could taste. But then the corns were very tasty there. Corn, then groundnuts were amazing. So they used to roast the groundnuts. They used to fill in the bottles, alcohol bottles, wine bottles, or liquor bottles. So they used to fill it in that, and we used to bring the bottle of groundnuts at home. So that was, but they were very tasty, very, very tasty groundnuts. So now also, if any friend is going to Nigeria, and she asked me that what should I get for you from there, as a groundnut bottle घेऊन ये एक.
Oh, nice.
They were really tasty. And then I could eat the plantain. They used to roast plantain. So those roasted plantains I ate. On the beaches, coconuts. Wow. They tasted really good coconuts. Coconut water, malai, सगळं भरपूर खाल्लं तिकडे. So then the non-vegetarian people, they used to buy the fish. Of course, hardly anybody tried the local cuisine as such, even the non-veg cuisine, because they used to eat bush meat or crocodile meat, and that was not possible for many non-vegetarians also to eat. But the fish that they used to get was tasty. That is what they used to tell me. And and normally what I have found out is Indian people are very, very conservative about, food choices. So they anywhere they go, they will prepare either Indian food items, they will look for Indian food items, they will hardly try the local cuisine there. But it's completely, I mean, it's not like the other people. European people or American people.
Mhm.
I have seen them that they try all Indian cuisine. We have so much of variety, but they would still try it. They will never refuse to try. At least afterwards, they might say that it is very spicy, a lot of chili there and all. But they try it, and they always pass a remark that it was good. They like the food, but we Indians, we hardly go for trying also. So that is
Right.
another thing which restricted me from trying their local cuisine. But yeah,
Okay.
whatever I could, I tried. And those Nigerian people, they used to make
Mhm.
so good food, because now the maids that we had at home, or there used to be some cooks, they used to go home to home, and they used to cook the food like samosa. So if we anticipate that, okay, next weekend I am going to have a party and there are 10, 15, 20 people coming to my house. Houses were big because the houses where we lived were big, and we could easily manage a party of 20 people at home. So if I think that, okay, the next weekend I have a party, I would call that cook, and he would make 100 pieces of samosa, 100 pieces of kachori,
Oh,
or even
okay.
the sweets, the desserts also. So they use spring rolls. They were so expert in doing that we also can't cook like that. So when my mother-in-law had visited us, from there she brought some pieces of samosa for my relatives here, just to
Mhm.
give them for taste, like Nigerian people has made this samosa, and then
Oh,
how tasty it is and all. So that was the case. They, and the maids also, they learned the cooking, Indian cooking, so fast. Like my
Mhm.
maid used to make suraicha vadya, alucha vadya,
Oh.
everything. So whatever we teach them, they will remember it. Those ingredients they have never used. Those recipes they never knew, but once you show them, they used to adopt it so quickly. And once you tell them, once you show them, demonstration perfect पाहिजे तुमचं फक्त. So
Mhm.
once you show them, they were ready to learn. They used to cook so well. So I did not even
Oh.
go to the kitchen after that. So as हे
Mhm.
हे करायचं, ही भाजी करायची, हे करायचं, ते करायचं सांगून मी बाहेर. So it was that easy.
So, having lived out of Nigeria now in India for so many years, do you feel nostalgic about that place?
I do feel, because even though the company had provided us the accommodation and the car, etc., I treated that home as my home. So, I when I left Nigeria, I was feeling so bad that I'm leaving my home and going, because I get attached to my houses. I decorate it in my way. We live there. We have some good moments spent in those. So I get attached to that place very easily. So I really miss my house there. Then, as I told you, the beaches that we used to go. Then
Mhm.
the maids. I miss the maids, because the maids used to do everything at home. So I hardly had to do anything. And
Mhm.
असं सुखासीन आयुष्य कोणाला नकोय. सो
Right.
म्हणजे अगदी हातात पाण्याचा ग्लास आणून देतील इतकं सगळं ते करायच्या त्या मुली.
Oh.
त्यामुळे ते आता इकडे मी मिस करते. सो एव्हरीथिंग इज टू बी डन बाय मी माय सेल्फ. सो here also we have maids, of course, but not for the
Yeah.
entire day. We don't have the maids for entire day and
Yeah.
not doing everything like they used to do. And of course, they used to give so much of respect to the Indians, all the people, not just maid or drivers that were our employees, but then all the people. That was one good thing about them, that they used to give lot of respect to Indians, and they feel that yes, in India, a lot of importance is given to education. So people coming here are very well educated. So they had that respect for Indians for the education that they had, and they used to respectfully talk to you. Another thing I wanted to
Mhm.
mention, maybe I forgot to mention, that Nigerian people uh, gave respect to ladies a lot. So
Oh, okay.
kind of things that we hear in India, कुठे कोणाला तरी धक्काच मारलाय, कुठे काहीतरी कमेंट केली काय, अशा कुठल्याही गोष्टी तिकडे कधीही एक्सपिरियन्स केल्या नाही मी.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
they treated ladies so beautifully, so respectfully
Mhm.
that we never heard this kind of incidents. कारण इकडे जर आता कुठले फॉरेनर आले तर इथे सुद्धा
Mhm.
त्यांच्याशी वाईट वागणारे लोक आहेत, पण असा
Mhm.
एक्सपिरियन्स आम्हाला तिकडे कधीच नाही आला. सो दॅट वॉज
Okay.
व्हेरी आय मीन समथिंग टू अप्रिशिएट.
Something, yes, definitely. When you were in Nigeria, you told us about your routine over there and overall life that you lived there. But did you experience any different or such experiences?
Yeah, quite different experiences I would like to share.
Mhm.
Uh,
Sure.
I had long hair, the long hair I had.
Hmm.
So
Uh-huh.
that was kind of attraction for those Nigerian women because
Oh,
they're unlucky that they don't have hair more than an inch. Plants they're all artificial braids. So
actually.
they were very attracted, towards me. So long hair, madam, you have so long hair. When you cut your hair, you give it to me. I will make supplement. I will use that because those supplements that they wear actually are
Mhm.
artificial hair, the artificial threads actually. So they
Okay.
wanted, the real hair supplements, and they used to tell me that when you cut, you remember me, you call me, you give me your hair, I will make supplement and all. So that was, and if I go to the market,
Mhm.
they used to, literally pull my hair, consider,
Oh,
are they real? They were
oh, to check.
surprised, to check whether my hair are real or not. So they used to
Okay.
do that. So that was one experience. Then, as I told you, they respected women a lot. They loved kids a lot. The
Oh, okay.
maids and the drivers, any Nigerian, if the child is crying, they would immediately pick up, and the children also knew that that person loves them so much. जरा काहीतरी रडायला लागलं, काहीतरी पाहिजे असलं तर that child would immediately rush to that Nigerian people instead of any Indian man, Indian woman. म्हणजे इतकं त्यांना सुद्धा ते
Oh,
आतून
okay.
कुठेतरी फील व्हायचं की these
Mm.
people are loving me, and they used to get
Mm.
go to them immediately. They used to always ask, whether you have met Amitabh Bachchan, whether you have met Dharmendra, because they watch Indian films, Hindi films there, and they know the actors, Indian actors. And when we used to tell them that we are from Mumbai, they used to feel that okay, now you must have met Amitabh Bachchan, you must have met Dharmendra and Rajesh Khanna and all. So they knew these names and all, and they always used to ask about these actors. So I said, yeah, he used
Oh.
to live next to my house. I have met him. And all. So we used to just, make fun.
Tease them.
And, yeah.
Right.
As I told you, they used to speak pidgin English, and I did not understand their way of asking questions. So when I went there initially, they knew that, okay, they used to call master and madam.
Mm.
So my
Okay.
husband was master because not master. They would not speak ro there. They would say
Huh.
master, how now? They would not say how are you. They would say how now. And when
Mm.
he got me there to
Mhm.
Lagos to the house, so all the people from around, from his company also, they came to
Mhm.
meet me. So they just
Oh.
wanted to meet and greet me, and then there was another hidden agenda behind that my husband would give them some money, go and have some snacks, go and have a Coke, bottle of Coke and all. He used to pay like that. We used to pay them. So, but they came to greet me, and then they started asking me question, Madam, how now? How they travel? Like how was my journey to Nigeria? Then how body? When they say how body, I was so shocked. How body? What kind of question is this? And then I understood from my husband when they are saying how body, they wanted to say that how's your health? When they used to come to us, and when or in any different context, we used to get to know those people there. They would easily use the sentence like. He's my brother, but same father, different mother. So, that was very shocking to us because we are not used to hear such kind of sentences here. And they used to live very nicely, happily all together. Huh? So, no, they did not have any complaint or nothing. And there is polygamy there. So, no, even the woman can marry two, three different men also. So, there is polygamy there. It's not only that man can marry two, three women, but it is vice versa also. So they easily could say that he's my brother, we stay together, he's the same mother, different father. Like that also they used to say, and that was very, very shocking for me. Now in India, perhaps that kind of situation is arriving, no doubt, but that time at least it was very unheard of. They were quite happy, huh? Even though they did not earn much, they were very happy. They were very content. They lived the life today. They lived today. They did not think of future much because they hardly earned anything. So today, as much as पोट भरलाय ना, okay, so fine. And then they used to be very happy. असं म्हणजे रडत बसलेत किंवा काय नशिबाला दोष देत बसलेत. हे जे इव्हन आपणही आपल्या ह्या स्टेटसला करतो, ते लोक कधीच नव्हते करत. They were so poor. They were living in such small houses, or then they never used to have electricity, not even water, or not even afford to buy some necessities, afford food. But then whatever they had, they used to be very happy and content. So that was one good thing that we should learn from them.
Yeah, right.
We had such a big community, Indian community there. So we hardly could make friendship with those people. We did not have any group with those people as such. And the Indian people that go there are at the superior level. They were like factory in charges, the bosses kind of thing, because they were expatriates. And they also, Nigerian people also, they think Indians like white people. Some of them, those who are educated, they would think that Indians are yellow, not white, actually. But then other Nigerians, they used to treat us like white people. And since you have come here, as if you are ruling there. So that, kind of feeling of being slaves is still there in their mind. So any person who is, has the authority is either white and we are slaves, we are going to work for him. That mentality is always there for them. So that is something bad that I feel about them. So we could not really make friends with them because of the status difference.
Right. Okay.
Life after 2000 changed quite a bit. So that time we did not even face much problems of Indian food item supplies or telephone availability or entertainment also. There were some malls which were developed there, so we could go to the malls. Then there they had theater, cinema halls also. So there they used to play Indian movies there. So we could watch Indian movies sometime there. Then Indian television also. We could see Indian channels, Zee, Sony, all those channels we could see there. Now, of course, on the net, you can see the web series or all OTT platforms. IT sector has entered there also. So there are some people who are working in IT. So their earning has grown, or the job
economy
scarcity
got a
perhaps.
boost.
Yeah, they got some economic boost, and the jobs also were created for them. So maybe they are not as in bad situation as they used to be before 2000. So, and now Indian peoples are quite, of course, till 2006 when I came back to India, we never used to still walk on the roads alone and all. But now people have started going around in at least those areas where Indians live in majority. So there, every town has an area like this, so kind of little India sort of. So there people have started walking on the streets, going to each other's places. The kids go walking to the school, and all those who are staying nearby. So there we have Indian schools. So there work was not possible for me in India in any company. But then I was not the person who could just sit at home. So I started learning French, as I told you, because I wanted to be occupied in good things. I also worked there with with a Nigerian firm initially when I went there in
Okay.
1995. There, that time the computers had just started coming into the picture in our life. So that time she had started, training institute, computer training institute there. One lady, one Nigerian lady. So I worked with her here in my office. I was using a little bit of computer that time. So I knew
Oh.
Microsoft Office and all that. So I
Mhm.
used to train those people there. And that was the kind of job I did, though it was not much paying, but then I was quite occupied. I used to
Right.
come in contact with other Nigerians, get to know them. So that was, cultural enrichment, I can say. And then I had an opportunity to work in Indian school also. We have CBSE school there. So I worked there also for 1.5 years. My daughter was small there, so I couldn't work for much longer time. But I worked there also as a French teacher. So, and they wanted me to, join the school to teach any subject actually, which I was good at. But then, since my mother was a teacher and I had seen her correcting the papers every now and then, that was something which I, did not want to do. But finally, I am doing that since I am a French teacher now. I'm doing that, of course. But that time, it was in my mind that no, mala teacher's job no hai. So I did not take up a job in Indian school. Otherwise, it would have been great. But then later on, my mind changed a bit, and then I started working there as French teacher. So
Okay.
those kind of opportunities I try to steal somehow. Nowadays, the Indian ladies that go there, they join their husbands. They also are working in admin positions or the office jobs kind of things. So they
Right.
are quite working. And nowadays, the colleges like Symbiosis or other reputed colleges, they also have campus interviews. So Nigerian companies they come here for campus interviews, and they even select MBAs, the girls also, and they go there, work in management positions there. So that those changes are happening now. And there we used to have quite a few Lebanese companies. So when you said about cuisine, though I did not try Nigerian cuisine a lot, we used to go to the Lebanese restaurants and try hummus and
Oh, okay.
falafel and all those. So that was quite possible. A lot of Lebanese people there, and even my husband was working in one Lebanese company there. So that food I liked, the Middle Eastern food
Okay.
I liked. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is interesting. And this was a wonderful conversation because I got to know two perspectives, like going to Nigeria twice, sometime
Yeah.
back in 2000, and I think again
Yeah,
afterwards.
there was quite a lot
So,
of
and
difference. It was totally a new era after 2000.
okay.
1995, as I told you, there was a scarcity of ingredients that we need for Indian cooking.
Right.
Even for that matter, bread. Bread was not, the sliced bread was not available that time. Though
Oh,
Nigerian
okay.
people used to eat bread a lot with the stew, fish stew, or some kind of stew, they used to eat bread. But it was a complete loaf that we had to buy. It was not even sliced that time. So there were so many things that we could not get there that time. But then yeah, I mean, we managed, we survived. And keeping the AC on throughout the night was also a new concept for me, because here we hardly had AC that time in our house. Nowadays everybody has, at least in the bedroom, but then that time is using air conditioners and all that was something different for me. For reading also, we did not have Indian, I mean the Marathi books or Marathi magazines or something. So if anybody is coming
Okay.
from India, we need to tell that person that, okay, bring books, Maraठी books, because कुठेतरी ती आपल्याला एक तहान असते की आपल्याला मराठी वाचायचंय काहीतरी, किंवा
Right.
पुस्तकं मिळत नाही, कुठेतरी असतं एक ते म्हणा. सो वी
बरोबर.
यूज टू people that, okay, you bring books. And then later on, what we did, my two other friends, we started the library there, Marathi books library there.
Oh,
So
okay.
we collected books from all the people that we knew, and we requested people to give donate their books. If you have read your book, just donate it to us. So we had a big collection of books that people donated us. Then magazines also. जुना दिवाळी अंक असला तरी आम्हाला चालणार होता, कारण कारण तो आमच्यासाठी नवा असणार होता. So
Correct.
we collected all those magazines, books and all, and we run the library also there at my friend's house in India, as I said, in
Oh,
Near
yes.
Teju area. So people used to take advantage of that library facility also.
Correct. Correct. So you did not miss the reading also, Marathi
Yeah, I
reading.
did not miss reading there at all, but here I'm missing it because I spend a lot of time in doing so many other different things की peacefully वाचायला वेळ मिळत नाही असं झालंय इकडे असं होतंय माझं इकडे rather.
Okay.
After I came back from Nigeria in 2000, I did not have any job in my hand, and if I wanted to go back into my field of HR, there were not quite many opportunities here in Pune because the IT companies were not there that time, so there were only industries, and they were all far away from main Pune, where I was living in Kothur. So they were at Shirwar or they were in Chakan. So it was not quite possible for me to go there and work for full time. And as I said, IT companies were not there. So the Hinjavdi or Magarpatta area or Kalyani Nagar area, there were no offices, no corporate offices. So I couldn't take any job in HR field. And meantime, I was doing my studies. I continued with my French. I started learning French in Alliance Francaise at Pune. But simultaneously, I wanted to work also. So, meantime, what happened was there was an ad by All India Radio that they wanted to fill up the positions of announcers. That advertisement caught my attention. And I wanted to apply for that job. I said, let me try. There is no job in my hand. I wanted a part-time job when I was doing my French studies also. So I applied for that. And so I did my audition there. And after audition, I was interviewed by Usha Prabha Page madam, who was the director at that time of All India Radio Station Pune. And she asked me so many questions related to Marathi literature or Marathi writers and all. And I could answer all those questions. So she was very happy with my answers. She appreciated my knowledge of Marathi literature, Marathi writers, and all. She said, even though you are staying in a foreign land, you seem to be reading Marathi books and you seem to keep yourself updated with the Marathi literature scenario. So it was very motivating for me, and that is how she selected me for the post of announcer. And I started working in All India Radio, that is Akashvani, Pune Kendra, as an announcer. And then that journey started, and that is how I entered into the field of voiceovers and voicing and all. So that was my starting point in that career. The way I told you earlier that the Nigerians, they happen to be very content. They live in present. They don't overstress themselves with the future. So what will happen in the future? They are not very much concerned. They don't bother about it so much, and they live very happily. Not like us that we keep on cribbing upon some small issues so many times in our life, but they are very, very content and very, very happy. Another thing that another thing that I could take from them was that their habit of greeting the person and then starting the conversation. So in India here, we don't have that habit of greeting the person, saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening, how are you, and all, and then start the conversation, which was very much done by the Nigerians. They never used to talk without greeting the other person. And even the small shopkeepers or the vendors on the street, everybody would first greet you and then start talking to you. And that habit we also cultivated because it is a good habit and we can very much take it from them. We also cultivated that habit. And now also, till today, all the people who have come back from Nigeria, they have that habit of greeting the person and starting the conversation, whether the conversation is formal or informal. So that is a very good thing. And I keep telling my students also of French, even I have seen that in other countries, but those are the developed countries like France or US or all. Those are developed countries. But these manners are followed by Nigerians, the people from the country which is not a developed country, but still they have these good habits. So I keep telling my students also that you should always greet the person and then start the conversation. That is a good manner, and you should always follow that.
That was a great conversation, Sumedha. And I love to hear more about Nigeria, although we all know a little bit, but coming firsthand from a person who has lived there does make a difference. So thank you so much for sharing all your experiences.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my love for Nigeria.
Always, you're welcome. So, which
Yeah.
countries do you plan to visit now?
I visited, for the sake of visiting, I visited the European countries. I visited Scandinavia also. I visited US also. So that way, I have visited quite a few countries in the world. Of course, not any other African country as yet, except Nigeria. But then I want to go to Egypt also. I want to go to Kenya also. So those are the countries. ते फक्त आमचं असं राहिलंय की आफ्रिकेत असताना आम्हाला वाटायचं हा आपण ते कधीही जाऊ शकू असं वाटून आम्ही ते केलं नाहीये पण ते राहून गेलं सो आय वॉन्ट टू विजिट दोज आफ्रिकन कंट्रीज ऑल्सो नाव इन फ्युचर सो लेट्स सी
Okay.
इवन आय वॉन्ट टू विजिट टर्की ऑल्सो लेट्स सी that is all in my
Yeah.
bucket list.
Okay, that's the plan. Great. So, I wish you all the best for that, all your travels.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lalita.
Thank you, Sumedha, for joining, and you have a good day.
Yeah, good day to you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through diverse cultures and perspectives. I hope today's episode inspired you to explore and appreciate the richness of the world around us. Don't forget to subscribe, share your thoughts, and stay tuned for more stories from across the globe. Until next time, keep blending cultures and celebrating diversity. Bye bye.